Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to Workflowy. So today what I want to focus on is how to set up a Scrum system inside of Workflowy. I've been doing this, I think I'm on almost my 300th sprint in Workflowy, and I've been doing this since 2017, I think. My sprints are 1 week long, and they kind of overlap with my GTD weekly review. I do my sprint ceremonies when I'm doing my weekly review, and that is my weekly review. So that's what I've been doing. I'm going to isolate it so that you can really see what I'm doing. I'm going to jump into this test Scrum node. I'll zoom in for you so you can see. And I'm ultra simplifying it. Of course, there's a lot more going on in reality, but I want to be able to show you exactly how I set it up. And a bookmarklet that Jay created for me is actually what enables this. So I will put a link to Jay's WFx and PowerPack, and that'll give you access to that sprint tracker. So basically, you're going to have your projects, and inside of your projects, so project 1 will have multiple tasks. Project 2 will have multiple tasks. And of course, in reality, it's going to be probably a lot more complicated than that. For example, I have, I'll show you an example. See if I can get, there we go. So I'll jump into my paint company, not that, into my work projects. So inside of a new paint project, kind of show you what it looks like in real life. I'll jump into workflow. So this is what each task inside of my new job template has. This right here, this blue hashtag SP, and then 2 is my story point. So I use the Fibonacci sequence. And so you'll see on each individual task, I have a story point associated with it. So it's obviously is going to look a lot more complicated. And then I have these templates for a new room wall paint, and I can trigger that. And then inside of that, you'll see individual story points. And I go in and adjust it for each job because depending on the complexity of the room, the story points value will be different. So let me jump back, go all the way back to where I was here. Okay. So obviously you'll be doing a lot more stuff on your end, but this is just to isolate exactly how to set up the sprint component in order to do story point tracking. And so what you want to do is for each task, you decide on a story points, and I have a keyboard shortcut for each of the Fibonacci numbers to trigger it, but you just do hashtag capital SP hyphen and then your story point value for that task. So we'll do S55 and S34. There we go. So now you have your story points associated with it. And I'm going to trigger the story point tracker using WFx. So story point count is my SPC, is my keyboard shortcut. So I've just created a total of 97. There's pending or uncompleted 97 and 0 complete. I'll go ahead and complete one of these just so I can show you what that does. I'll reveal it. Here we go. And I'll trigger the story point counter again. So now you see I've completed 3. There's a total of 97 and pending 94. And then one other component I'll show you is when I'm doing my sprint planning, I'll go in and select the tasks that I want to, come on, let me get at it. I tag it, hashtag SPR for this sprint, and so I've just added that. And then what I'll do, in order to isolate from outside of my inside of my projects into a task list just for this sprint, so I don't have to go to the project and find them every time, I will do a search for sprint. I will select, multi-select all of those, and then I'll Alt-Shift-M all of those, span column, and Control-V. So there we go. Now, where did my completed one go? Anyway, oh, because it's not in the sprint. The completed one's not in the sprint. Oh, I uncompleted it. Anyway, sorry for that little confusion there. I thought I had completed one and it disappeared. So here I have the task list for this sprint. So I can just zoom in on that. And during the sprint, when I'm deciding what to do that's in this sprint, that isolates just the things that are in this sprint. And now you can see why I added project 1 and project 2 to the individual nodes. So once I've moved them out of their project, you could see what it is that you're working on in that task. And then at the end of the sprint, I just go through, and if I've only completed, not all of them, I track. I have this complete right here. And then I move that completed for each project into Scrum, or into Excel, excuse me. And let's go back up here. Another thing you can do is if one of these, if you add, expand column, if you add at P task 3 hashtag found work, and then I'll Shift M, and you end up moving, get rid of that, move that in, and then you can isolate, jump into here, found work, and if you completed that one, then you can do a story point counter, and you'll have the found work. So in amongst your tasks, you might have some found work. Also, what I personally do is, let's say that project 1 is work related and project 2 is personal. So in my Scrum tracking, in my Scrum system, I have both personal and work. Everything's in there. Any task that's not just a daily task, like taking a shower or whatever, or packing my lunch for work. I don't track those kinds of things, but anything that's a weekly task or just a next action or part of a personal project, I also track. But let's say that these are all work projects, project 1. I'm going to tag that hashtag W. Okay, so all of these now are work related. And then over here you can see in this task list, you can see which ones are work related. So when I'm doing my Scrum tracking, I isolate it to just the hashtag W, do my story point counter, and I can see how much work I've done that's work related specifically. So you can create tags to represent whatever kind of division that you want to track. Just add that to all the tasks associated with that division. And so, like for example, in my new paint project, every single task has hashtag W on it, and so it's easy for me to isolate the work-related ones. And I also track individual projects, so you can jump into a project, trigger hashtag SPR to isolate the ones that are in that project that you wanted to do this sprint, and I track individual project story point counts. So Workflowy, with its flexibility, makes it super easy to divide things up however you want to. I will jump into Workflowy components, and here is the WFx PowerPack, and under count, right here, is the story points counter. And so you just go into that and isolate that and trigger the Workflowy shortcut for that. And it gives an explanation of exactly how to set it up. So there you go. I will have a link to the PowerPack and WFX in the YouTube video description, so you can access that if you need to. Hope that helps.